Welcome back to Packs and Picks, everybody. Today I'm doing things a little differently. I'm not going to be cracking packs or building any decks, but instead going over what I bring to a limited event that for me enhances my experience and just makes the overall time at a draft or a sealed event just that little bit better. I've been going to a fair number of drafts and pre-releases over the years. I've seen a lot of people struggling with multiple deck boxes, trying to remember where they put their dice, wondering where they put their sideboard, you name it. So I thought I'd put together something to show what I do to stay organized and prepared for any event that I might be participating in. As you probably figured out from the channel, I'm primarily a limited player, so my build out's going to be focused around going to something like a pre-release or a draft night, which is going to have a lot of different needs than something like a constructed event. And actually, you might need to bring more stuff to a limited event than constructed, so it might be a little more stuff you have to bring to a draft, for instance. So let's get right into it. First things first, the playmat I wanted to talk about. When I first started playing trading card games, I thought playmats were a little silly, thought they were kind of a waste of money, and then I eventually got one, and my mind slowly started to change. For me, a big thing that can't be overstated is a playmat really helps to just define the space when you're at an event. If you're at a draft or a pre-release, they really like to pack people in these events, and you're shoulder to shoulder with people. And I find that the playmat just helps set some boundaries for you. You can say like, okay, this is my space. I'm going to be building my deck here. I'm going to be playing my games here. And usually people respect the space of your playmat. And so I think that really can't be overstated for what a playmat brings for you. I think another thing that helps with, it does make cards easier to pick up either sleeved or unsleeved. A lot of events are on folding tables or a smooth restaurant table. And it is pretty challenging to pick up those cards. You end up having to slide them off the table. And the neoprene mat really just helps give you that extra give so you can pick up your cards a little bit easier. If you do end up getting a play mat, there's a couple tips that I have. Try to find sleeves that contrast but still complement your playmat. If you've got a really dark playmat, this one's not too bad, but if you have a black playmat and black sleeves, it's really going to wear on your vision after a while trying to pick out black sleeves on a black playmat. Whereas if you had white sleeves on a black playmat, that would be pretty nice as well. If you're better at color theory or something like that, you could probably pick some nice colored sleeves that match your playmat, but I'm not that great with that, so I try to just make my sleeves contrast a little bit with the playmat that I'm using. And also, I'd recommend bringing a playmat tube. So these aren't too expensive. It's really nice to just roll your playmat up and put it in here. It just helps the playmat stick out in your bag, so if you've got like a jacket or a hat in your bag as well, your playmat's not getting lost in the sauce and all of that. And also, if your water bottle spills in your backpack, it's going to keep your playmat dry, which did happen to me at an event, and I was glad I had my playmat in a tube. So that's playmats. The next big thing, really the biggest thing, is the deck box. So this is the deck box that I've been using for years now. It's the Ultimate Guard Twin Flip and Tray 160 Plus. So they do make a larger version of this, but this is the smaller of the two offerings from Ultimate Guard. And there's a lot of great things to like about this, especially if you're a limited player. And right now, this is the one I use for Magic the Gathering. So you'll see, how I use this for Magic events here in just a minute. But let's go over what we've got going on inside here. So you've got two compartments for cards. This one here I use. I've got sleeves here in the front. So I bring about 50 sleeves with me to an event just in case some break during the event, or I get like a nice foil that I want to put in a sleeve. So I bring some inner sleeves as well. So I bring 50 sleeves. Just a little bit extra sleeves can fit in here. I've got one of these hard dividers from Ultimate Guard as well. And this is really nice because you can see it kind of sticks up from the cards. So it allows you to really grab hold of the sleeve, kind of bend all the cards back, pull out your sleeves, or go the other way and pull out any cards that are in the deck. In the back here, I bring about 15 basic lands of each color with me to pre-release or a draft. And this is really nice for a lot of different reasons. One, you don't have to get up from your station or your spot and go over to where the lands are and rummage around with everybody else trying to get lands as well at the same time. You also don't have to worry about forgetting to return your lands at the end of the event, which is nice. And as you can kind of see there, gives you a chance to bling out your pre-release decks, your draft decks a little bit with some full art lands or lands that you like that you've collected over time. So I like to bring my lands, and they fit really nice in this compartment of the twin flipping tray. So we'll get these sleeves back in here and put this away. All right, so the other compartment is actually mostly empty right now, but this is where I'm going to be keeping my sealed deck, or my sleeved deck that I built for draft or sealed. I've got another divider here as well, and this is going to help separate my draft deck or my sealed deck from any tokens that I've brought. So another thing that I like to do is bring some tokens for the set that I might be playing. So recently was Lost Caverns of Ixalan, so I've got a lot of Lost Caverns of Ixalan tokens in here. And these can just live in my deck box for the duration of the format that we're playing. And while this compartment looks a little small, it is actually big enough to hold a 40 card sleeved limited deck plus the about 65 extra unsleeved cards that would make up your sideboard in a sealed event. So you can fit all of your cards from your sealed pool in this one compartment here, even with the sealed deck. So another reason why I really like this deck box overall is you can fit all your cards right here for easy access. All right, the other and last compartment is the middle compartment here, and this is where I keep my dice. So I keep bring three types of dice with me to an event. I like to use D6s to keep track of my life, and this is just helpful for me because I found in the past using something like a D20, spin down D20, if you knock it a little bit, you could lose track of your life. So the D6 is just nice in that regard. So I use D6s to track my life. I've also got a lot of little D6s here, and this is good for +1/+1 counters. It's also helpful for tokens or miscellaneous tokens that cards might make that you might not have. You can just use a dice to represent that. So I've got a lot of those. And then I have two D20s here, which I like to bring in case my opponent doesn't have a way to keep track of life, so I can let them use a dice for the game. Or sometimes players like to write down life totals, which is totally fine, but it can be hard to read someone else's handwriting upside down from across the table, so I might use a D20 to keep track of their life in addition to my own. Plus, it just helps to not have to ask them what their life is all the time if you're keeping track, and you stay engaged that way as well. So that's what I put in the middle tray here. Oh, we'll just leave those out for now. So overall, I've been really happy with this setup for the years that I've been working with it. And really the only thing I can think of that's a nuisance are these flaps here. When you're working on when you're using this at the table, these flaps are kind of annoying that get in the way. I'd really like to be able to get around that with something like the Gamegenic deck box. Gamegenic has one that's very similar to this, but it's noticeably larger than this version of the Ultimate Guard, which has kind of kept me from making the switch. This box here really is the smallest form factor you can get that still accomplishes all the needs. So, going any bigger is not necessarily a benefit at the time. But if I find myself playing more sealed events or draft events for more TCGs, and instead of having to break down this box, I might go and try out the Gamegenic one and see how much I like it. And that's really it. It's not much, but that's all I found that I need when I go to a draft or pre-release is just bring my playmat in this box, and I'm ready to go. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any tips or products that streamline your limited events, let me know in the comments. I love to learn new things that help me get more enjoyment out of all these games. And thanks so much for watching. Good luck in your next event. I will see you next time.